It is time once again. Welcome back for another BW3 podcast. It is brought to you by Schaefer's Oil and by Algar Performance, and brought to you as a courtesy of Swino Visuals. Kevin Stubblefield in studio with the man himself in Victory Lane again at I-44 Speedway last Saturday.
Back home, right? And so it was good. That was a good week. A lot of fun, and got lucky there and got another one. So getting ready to go. A lot coming up though.
Yep. 47 cars at I-44, so pushing up toward 50. They're going to get there, I think.
Yeah, he is. And there was a new Crown Vic. So the late models are building up. I think this weekend, I think you'll see 10 late models this weekend from what I'm hearing. Just reading numbers, as long as everybody's, able to make it. So if you get 10 late models this weekend, you're going to clear it easy. Street Stocks didn't have as big of an eventful race. I think Aaron Wilkie's going to be back together pretty quick. Aaron's got a really good schedule where you don't race every weekend, but this little 3-week stretch is going to push everybody a little bit. And I saw somebody quoting, the other day that they really realized how much they appreciated the weeks off. And you understand that, for the weekly racers, it's really hard to race every weekend, and so they'll get a couple of weeks off and then they'll be back at it, and that'll be good for everybody. But weather looks good coming up. The weather was great Saturday night, perfect temperatures. When you race on Mother's Day, I'm with Kenny Wallace on this Mother's Day Easter deal. It was huge crowd though, and it's not you're not racing on Mother's Day, you're the night before. It was a big crowd, and it did really good. And Batesville does that with the Bad Boy 98 every year. We went down that race last year, and that's always Mother's Day weekend. And so you always are like, man, I don't know, how many people are going to come. But there was a lot of moms there. But, the crowd was very impressive and very loud Saturday night. So that was cool. It's always fun when you can actually hear the crowd when you park your car and get out, when it's not quiet and you hear people yelling, screaming. Doesn't matter if they're booing, screaming, whatever. You heard cheers and heard people. So that was good. And what you like to see is just more that Aaron's got so much momentum going there, and I just hope he's able to keep it building and going because it's good. It's awesome. Obviously, I'm biased and want to see that place back to what everybody calls the glory days. And but I'm looking at it going, you got a really good base of Crown Vics. They put on an unbelievable show Saturday night. Great, fun to watch. The late model feature was, I thought, probably good to watch. The first 20 laps were really exciting from where I was sitting, so hopefully the crowd enjoyed it. The street stock race is always good, and it was good Saturday. And I enjoyed the Bandolero feature. It got exciting there at the end on the green white checkers, and the Sandler kid made 2 unbelievable moves on Sam Douglas, and he did a really good job of not hitting Sam and not wrecking him to win. And his dad done a lot with the redhead racing and all those guys coming in and bringing new kids out to the racetrack. I think you'll see a couple new bandos there this Saturday. But his son, to go in that corner, he arced the corner, really big arc into 1 and 2, coming to the white or the checker, one or the other, twice, and got to Sam's back bumper and did not wreck him to win. Most kids are used to iRacing and would have wrecked him to win, and you'd have had all kinds of problems, but he didn't. He did exactly the way he needed to do it. Sam drove a great race too, but for that young man to come out there and do everything right, to arc the corner the way he did. And I made sure I went and told him too, and he needs, I hope they communicate this to all the other kids. He did it the right way. And, there's sometimes it will come back around, and Sam will remember that. And if he's ahead of Sam knows you've set the tone, and the tone is set, and you race people the way you want to be raced. And that tone has been set. And those two are going to race clean and hard, and it was so much fun to watch. And you didn't realize you're watching kids at that point. It looked like adults racing, and it was cool to see that.
Get it installed early in the mind. If you wreck them, you park it.
Yeah, and it's in this day and age, the Mark Martin rule of racing is not installed into the kids. It's iRacing, so you hit the reset button. It's go-karts where you have to push them up out of the way. And there's times that you have to be aggressive and make some moves that you may not necessarily want to make. And it is stock car racing. You are going to put some donuts on each other's doors. And, we all race hard every night, whether it's dirt or pavement. But you never want to see somebody get cleaned out. And that's where it's so hard for a kid to know that line. And when they don't cross the line and do everything right, they need to be told that. And that needs to be celebrated, not the other way around where they do cross the line. And then, you did what you needed to do. There is I have one pet peeve in racing. And if I ever do it, I'm going to get on, I hope somebody calls me out on it. When somebody absolutely monster trucks somebody to win the race, and their exact words were, I don't race that way, but I had to do what I had to do. Well, no, you do that race that way. You made the decision to go in there and drive like a Democrat running over everybody. You made that choice. That was your decision. So you do race that way. It's not I hate to do that. Like, no, at least one person needs to stand up and be like, yeah, I drove in there like an idiot and just bulldozed my way to the win, and it is what it is. Okay, fine. And you face the consequences, but at least you admit it. Like, if somebody ever will do that in victory lane, I'll be attaboy, You just don't want to see it that way, though, especially at the younger levels. So, anyway, it was awesome to see that, and really, really excited to see the crowd and the kids getting to ride in the cars. That was a lot of fun.
I'm going to take a trip down memory lane on that. About 10 years ago at I-44 Speedway, and the reason this comes up is because Mike Sloan won the street stock race on Saturday night. Back about a decade ago, when he was in the late model, he was racing Tony.
Yep.
Side by side. But
Mike Sloan
he said that I couldn't pass Tony. I wasn't going to wreck him.
There you go. Mike Sloan is one of the most underrated pavement drivers there is. And he was in a good car Saturday night, but it don't matter what car he's in, he's going to be contender. And he turned a 1480 the last night in qualifying. He set quick time last year. I'm pretty sure maybe Dylan might have knocked him off, but I don't think so. I think he set quick time for the last race of the year at I-44 last year, and hadn't been in a late model in a long time. And he's a good race car driver, and I think it's awesome. It was so cool to see him there Saturday night. There's a lot of asphalt race fans in Rolla, huge asphalt race fans up there. And it's, you want to see some guys. There's a lot of guys from around Sullivan area coming through to racing Crown Vics right now. And it'd be great to see some of the old Rolla names get back out there and bring all those people back to the racetrack. It's just a huge contingency of race fans. Even back to the Wallace family lived there for a while. Like everybody, Rolla's a big racing town, and it's always pavement racers. They're not big into dirt, and that's cool. That's I don't care what surface it is. It's good to do both, but it's cool that they support the way they do.
Well, you mentioned Aaron Douglas bringing the track back and making a lot of strides. The last big heyday at I-44 was back when Matt and Chrissy Wallace were there and Mike Sloan was competing. I mean, every Saturday night it was drama and it was good racing.
It was, and that was I remember, Chrissy's winning a lot of races right now out on the East Coast, and the late model deal she's running and really needs she needs the recognition for what she's done as a female race car driver. Like, she ran Daytona in the Busch Series or the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. She ran some truck races. She made it to the higher level. Funding got tight for everybody in 08, 09, right in that era. She came back to I-44 and raced and won a lot. Like you said, won a lot of races. And then Matt Wallace won a lot of races. And Mike Sloan was right there with them every night. And then, when Matt was racing, Matt and I started the same year on pavement together. And 2012, I was telling some people the other night, from 2012 to 2016, there were 16, the average late model car count was 16, average. Not only that, it was 30 laps with an invert. We started 6 Saturday night, and I don't know what I think we took the lead on lap 18, 17, 18, I don't know, somewhere in there. And you have to really, really be on your game and have a good race car to do it. There was some nights I was in tier parking last year and watching Dylan, and Dylan had to start 8th or 9th, and it really needs to be 30 laps. There's more than 6 cars, because if you start 8th, I don't know if you start 10th, 8th or 10th in 25 laps, I don't know if you can get there. That's a lot of cars to pass in that amount of laps. And the races we had, when you were calling those races, 3 wide, everybody, there was some massive wrecks.
There was.
But it was really exciting. It's why the stands were packed too, and it was, I think in some way, I know that the era of racing that everybody wants to go back to is 90, I'm going to say 89 to 99, that 10 years, right? From 2011 to 17, holy crap, those races were way better to watch. And you really, nobody, you'd have a guy win 4 or 5 races a year, but it was exciting because everybody's cars got better.
Right.
Everybody got better technology in the racing then. It was exciting.
Got the Nick Bradshaw Memorial at I-44 this Saturday. Gates will open at 4:30. So going to honor the late Nick Bradshaw coming up this Saturday night.
I think it's cool that you're seeing all these guys come back. Dylan's got, this is Brennan's opinion on this and mine only, but Dylan's got a really good race car right now. And, to come to I-44 and race he needs to stay sharp. But, once in here and there, but really what he's trying to do, that's probably the time to come. But he's also coming because of Nick and what Nick meant to everybody. We're driving home from West Plains to come because Nick meant a lot to a lot of us. And what he did what he was able to do, I never saw Nick Bradshaw without a smile on his face. And he was dealt a not a great card in life and made the best out of his situation and had a smile on his face no matter what obstacle he had. Then he decided to race. And you got to remember, he's a Monahan too. That's the one thing. He's half Monahan, and his grandpa, his grandpa, was a wild man behind the wheel. I think street racing back in the day. Your grandpa or your dad would have known a lot about that. And you probably saw some of those. And I remember his grandpa coming off. I'll never forget this. We were at the asphalt plant, and he was driving a dump truck for somebody and lost the brakes and come down the hill wide open. I mean, anybody else wipes this dump truck out and just drives it out of it. And I'm like, and my dad's like, he goes, that's Monahan right there. It's like, he's fine. And Nick's uncle, Brian, it was won a lot of street stock races and bomber races on dirt years ago. And so a lot of racing in that family and the Bradshaw family, they're just great people, and they've stayed involved in the sport. They've kept Nick's car out there with Michael Jorgensen, and Michael's winning races in it. And just to, if it weren't for Nick, that the Charger class wouldn't even be out there, in my opinion. So, they've done a lot of good things there. And so it's cool that they're honoring him on Saturday night.
Crown Vic winner was Zane Martin of Bourbon, and Gary Barrows out of Gravois Mills. He won the Charger race on Saturday at I-44. 136 car count at Springfield on Saturday. Trent Wynn of Hartfield, he wins the Midwest Mods main.
Yeah, big. I want to give him a big shout out. It was a big win for him. And we've had Trent on the show a couple times, and Highside actually joined us on a sponsorship on doing some powder coating for us on dirt and pavement. So we're excited to have them on board as a sponsor for us, and pretty cool that he is jumping back into Midwest Mod, and really it's where he loves to race those cars and does really good in them. So big to see him get a win on Saturday night.
Flying Farmer 55, Caden Cornell of Willard, he wins that one. Dusty Atkinson of Lebanon came in third for that feature race.
Caden Cornell, another go-kart graduate, come up through the go-kart ranks, won a lot of go-kart races, and been winning a lot of late model races. And really at Springfield right now in the 4-state series, he's dominant. And they're on a pretty good roll. They got an XR1 and really getting that thing rolling right now. So good for him and a big win for him.
Trucker Appreciation Night this Saturday at Springfield. Lake Ozark, they've got the Open Trailer Classic this Saturday. It's going to be a Power Eye show with the modifieds, the stocks, and the Hornets there. Lucas Oil Speedway Saturday, a big sprint car show, and that's going to be the prelude leading up to the Show Me 100.
So I think it's cool. Big shout out Trenton Berry, Heartland Late Model Tour. Their big opener is this weekend at West Plains at Legit Speedway. And I think it's cool that they're racing in May at West Plains. The original home of the Show Me 100 was West Plains. And I talked to Trenton yesterday. I heard Terry Phillips and Billy Moyer are going to be there. We all better pack a lunch because those two at that place are pretty damn good. They've won a lot of races there. I think West Plains may be Terry's favorite racetrack, really. So we're all going to have our work cut out for us. I only got to deal with them one night, and then I'm going home. But it's pretty cool to see that coming back, that racetrack coming back. Gary Stolba raced a long time, raced a lot at I-44 years ago, and bought the racetrack, and they've been shut down for a couple of years, renovating the place, and it's the pictures and videos I've seen looks good, and I've only got to race there twice, or I guess 3 times, and but I really like that racetrack, so I'm excited to go back, and it's been a long time since I've been there.
NASCAR, Watkins Glen, SVG wins another road race.
Well, the tire wear just played right into his hands. Did you see he ran the fastest lap of the race on 20-lap old tires when everybody else was losing seconds at a time? He saved his tires that good and just busted off a lap. It's incredible to me that
unreal. He pitted with 24 laps to go in the lead. Then he wins the race by 7 seconds.
I was watching the end of that, and they said, well, based off right now, there was 15 to go, I think. He's going to catch him with 2 to go. I'm like, okay, well, I'll go do something else. I come back up, and he already had the lead. And I'm like, and there was 7, 8, 9 to go. And I'm like, you said 2 to go. Like, he is able to do things in a race car and a road course that nobody else can do. And Connor Zilich is incredible. Caden Honeycutt had an incredible weekend. Won the truck race Friday, beat SVG. Won the ARCA race, then he wins a truck race. Goes back to Charlotte, runs both cars tour races. Nobody's ever won both cars tour races in one day. The pro late model and the late model stock race. He wins both of those. So he won 4 races, raced 4 races, won all 4. Said that if he won, he would shotgun a beer in Victory Lane with the fans. So he had to do that. Well, then he had to go do it he had to do it both nights. But it was pretty cool to see that. And I'm sure he was hurting on Saturday. That was his first truck win. And I think they celebrated a little late Friday night. So I'm sure he's hurting Saturday, but he had Dick Trickle always said you only need it's an hour of sleep per 100 laps is what his old motto was. But I've heard a lot of Dick Trickle stories, and I don't think he got near as rowdy as everybody thought he did. I heard he was really good about drinking it looked like he drank about 7 beers. He'd drink about 2 and switching out that beer can on everybody and letting them think that he was staying up all night drinking, and he really wasn't. I think he was outsmarting everybody.
Well, some people can absorb that better than others.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, you've watched a million more races than I have, B. That O'Reilly race, the last lap,
that was
Connor Zilich overtaking Jesse Love. That may have been the greatest final lap I've ever seen.
It was awesome. It really was. What is it going to take? And I listen to Kenny. You listen to Coffee with Kenny a lot. I get that. I know the TV ratings are better for the Cup Series. I get it, and they are, and they should be. I mean, the best drivers in the world are in Cup cars. Throw this damn car away, or figure out whatever you got to figure out to get that package that the O'Reilly cars got. It doesn't matter what they go to. It is an incredible race, and two guys that are going to be racing each other. Those are two best friends. They've raced each other growing up their entire life. And they're going to keep racing against each other. And we're not talking guys that, SVG was in the same car that Connor Zilich was in. Exact same car. He was in a JRM car, and Jesse Love was outrunning both of them. And a pretty awesome race. And like you said, the only race I can think of with a better final lap at Watkins Glen, and I think maybe the greatest final lap in history, was Brad Keselowski and Marcus Ambrose driving through oil at Watkins Glen in 2012. Sliding, through the grass, beating doors. Like, it was the wildest final lap I've ever seen in my life. But that was right there with them. And why? Like, we've got, and I know, I get where NASCAR's at. Like, how do you literally go to your boardroom or go in your meeting on Monday and be like, well, let's look, what'd you guys think? Well, I thought the Cup race was okay. It was a good race. It wasn't bad. But how many meetings in a row do you go into? Boy, that O'Reilly race was really good.
Yeah.
But O'Reilly race was really good. Why? And I know the reality of it is there's no way you can go to these car owners and be like, hey, we sold you on this car, but it's not what we want it to be. So we're going to have to make some changes. Like, I get where everybody's coming from, but wow, that's incredible to watch. So I guess I'm going to quit bitching about it and just enjoy what I'm getting to watch, right? But it's incredible to watch every week. And the CW is doing an amazing job. I've really enjoyed, if you have Samsung TV, like if you have a Samsung TV, you have the Samsung Smart Channel. If you have, what do you call it? Not the Fire Stick, but the other one.
Roku.
You have Roku TV, there's a NASCAR channel. The NASCAR channel does a lot of things with flow. And then if you have Amazon Prime, the NASCAR channel is also on Amazon Prime. So they have the NASCAR channel, and we all wanted the Speed channel back, and everybody griped. So you have the NASCAR channel, and it's got incredible programming. So it does, like last week was all road course races from Watkins Glen from the 80s all the way up. So you're hearing, to me, hearing Bob Jenkins and Dr. Jerry Punch, and you remember the ESPN days, right? And that was Benny Parsons, and I'm not saying it was better, because listen, NASCAR is at a better level. Motorsports is a better level than it's ever been. We all want to say that it was, it's just like Major League Baseball. The baseball players are better now than they were. Ken Griffey Jr. is my hero. I bet Aaron Judge can hit a ball further. Like, I may not want to admit it, but it's the way it is.
Yep.
But you can go back and you can watch these races, and you can see the old school races, and it is fun to watch, and that take it back. And then they play last year's race, and then they'll play all these races. But so that you have that, and then it's streaming's doing good. And what I'm getting at, the CW is taking NASCAR, and they're using that to grow their programming. ESPN, I remember this, and that was on, and I was listening to it, and I literally have this on when I'm walking through the house, and it's just for background noise. And my random thought was, and I feel like it's very true, ESPN used NASCAR to grow their network, and it boomed with them, and they kind of grew together, right? Michael Jordan grew Nike, same time. Streaming has been big. We got a satellite dish at Sleeper, Missouri, so we could watch Mike Wallace race the Busch Series on Saturdays, because we didn't have ESPN, and we didn't have all these other networks. TNN back then, it's TNN and ESPN every week. And TBS.
You had the old backyard satellite dish, like
the one that had to turn.
Yep.
Massive, like the size of this room. Mm-hmm. And you had to like G212, and then you'd hear it going outside and spinning. We were high tech when we got What was DirecTV called before that? It was called something, I think, before DirecTV. It was a little bit Prime Star.
Okay.
When you got Prime Star, you were big time because your dish was about the size of these lights that are shining on us. But streaming, Flow has grown their network off of streaming off dirt fans. NASCAR goes on Prime in 1 week. And we have to pay money to watch $100 to watch St. Louis Cardinals now. That's what it is. Now everybody has Amazon Prime, so you're really not having to pay for that streaming, in my opinion. Like, everybody's wife has Amazon Prime. If you're in the asphalt business, everybody's driveway has to be thicker now because of the UPS and FedEx truck driving down that driveway 24/7. But what I'm getting at is Amazon Prime is coming on, and I don't want to hear race fans, and I can't hardly listen to SiriusXM NASCAR radio anymore because you have the race fans calling in. I can't find the race. I'm having to pay $100 for the race. Well, you got to pay $100 to watch St. Louis Cardinals. It's on Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime's coverage is way better than everybody else's because they're growing it, and they're using motorsports to grow their brand. And I think it's awesome to see that because that was the throwback, and that's why NASCAR and ESPN grew together, and they did. And I think everybody's got to remember that yeah, we all love watching these O'Reilly races on Saturdays, but maybe, they're making improvements to this car. I don't like it. Just like everybody else. If you look at the front end of this race car, the rack sits like the design of a dirt late model and an asphalt late model. They're the exact same front end design. There's no difference as far as your rack and pinions on the bottom. And you got a lower control arm out, and then you got upper control arm, and then you got your spindles. A cup car, your rack is raised way up in the air. Your lower control arm is like way down. It's just wild looking. Like steering, it's just different. And the way those cars steer, and I think one of the reasons that the racing is not as good, you can't get those cars out of control, and you can't yaw them out sideways and do the things you used to be able to do, like in the Busch cars. And I think that's why you see Kyle Busch struggling. I think you see these older guys that were used to different setup. It's just way different race car. And but I do think, we went on the soapbox forever, but I do think there is a chance to make that racing better. Because, as much as just like I-44, my car was bottoming out, driving like crap the first few laps. Of course, you have to start on low air pressure on pavement. It's one of the things a lot of people don't know, but the bottom of 1 and 2 is really rough right now. And my brother was like, man, your car's bumping. I'm like, we're not fixing that. It's going to be rough. You need it to be rough and not rough, but you need to be a little choppy and have it. It makes the racing better. You have to fight ill handling cars. And I think that, you just got to age pavement racing a little different. With dirt racing, you can make a change real quick with a water truck. Asphalt racing, it takes a long time for that asphalt to cure out. And, it's not like where you can just take a water truck and make a change real quick in 10 minutes.
All-Star Race at Dover is next on the NASCAR agenda, and we are putting this in the hopper on Tuesday, the 12th. Hall of Fame vote is a week from today for NASCAR. So here's another opportunity to get 75 in there. I'm a little bit worried, though, because Chase Elliott is beating the drum for Ernie Elliott.
Is Ernie on the same Pioneer ballot as Larry?
I assume so.
So fan vote's one vote. So everybody get out, vote. Now, you can vote more than once. But, man, like, when you got, and good for Chase, like, I don't blame him for doing what he did, but, like, man, you're killing me. I don't know who Dale Jr.'s guest is on his show this week, but I just hope that, I know Dale Jr., that's his guy that he's publicly said, I hope Larry Phillips gets in this year. I hope when Dale Jr., Rusty Wallace, and Mark Martin get in that room this year. Mark Martin's done a lot of good convincing with NASCAR folks over the years. And if you listen to Coffee with Kenny, I'm going to tell him he needs to pay us for promoting his show this week. But if you listen to Coffee with Kenny, he's so right about this. There's a Northeast bias, and it's nothing against them. in the NASCAR Hall of Fame because the voters are out there from the Northeast. So you're Jerry Cook, Richie Evans, all very well deserving. Ray Hendrick that got in. Everybody that's on that panel saw those guys race. They didn't get to see Larry race that much. What little Larry Phillips footage we got, I've tried to put as much out there as I can. You know, we don't have the people that saw, you know, Richie Evans was great, but Larry did the same thing. And somebody said that the other day that Larry made over $1 million between, you know, around Lebanon and Bolivar racing in those. That's less than 10 years, 8 or 9 years span right there. Won 5 national championships. And that's the other thing that I want people to realize. Lee Pulliam's a stud. He went on a Larry Phillips run. He really did. But Larry won those championships towards the tail end of his career and did it from 89 to 96. He won 5 of them. That's pretty incredible. Really is. So I don't care what you're doing at what level to win the amount of races that he won, to come from the back at I-44 every night like he did. And once you have to do that once in your life or twice in your life to realize, you know, I didn't have to pass 16 cars. And he did it in 30 laps every week. You'd watch Spud McKenzie checked out leading. You'd see the old dog go, and Kenny'd always have it lit up when he's leading. And here you'd hear the cowbells. And more cowbell, and more cowbell, and more cowbell. And then that light would go off, and there'd go that 75 car out in the distance. And that's how it was for a lot of nights. And it was pretty fun to watch back in those days. But we didn't know. You got to watch Larry at the fairgrounds, and I would have loved to have seen that. To me, to watch Larry Phillips, Rusty Wallace, Dick Trickle, Bob Seneker, Mark Martin, David Goldsberry,
Lester Freebie.
Lester Freebie won a lot of races back then, and I didn't know it. You know, Shane is, Lebanon baseball player and announcer, Lucas Oil Speedway. And
I-44 announcer.
I-44, yeah, done everything in racing, and his dad was a badass.
He was.
And you've seen all these guys win, Dale Roper, Dean Roper, just all the names that Larry beat. Holy cow. To me, whether he makes it or not, he's Hall of Famer, but really we'll take some clips out of this and really have Sweeney blow this up and share it, and hopefully this will take off for him. It just, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He's, in my opinion, the thing that Larry does, and I'm glad he's in the pioneer side, and this is why. He taught people to make a living racing. There was an article that Chuck Meads gave to me. It says, no golden girdles. Larry didn't have, if it didn't make his car faster, he didn't have it. He made a living racing. He made a very good living racing. And he may have been one of the greatest to ever do it. And I didn't know that at 10 years old. I would ask my dad, why, if because my dad's like, Larry Phillips, one of the greatest to ever do it. Well, why didn't he go to NASCAR? Well, he made more money staying home. It wasn't millions of dollars back then to go race in the Cup Series. It was way better money to stay home. And Larry knew that. And Larry did what Larry needed to do. But he won the very first World of Outlaw late model race in Pennsylvania, nonetheless. He was won at Speed Weeks on pavement and dirt. I don't care. I look at your body of work, and to me, he's done it all. And then 5 national championships. It just says it all.
Yep.
You can do it on both. You can do something, and that's why I race both. Is I think that I think doing it one helps the other right now, especially. But the greats, my heroes, Larry Phillips, Larry Moore, Mike Wallace, Jeff Purvis, those guys won on everything. They won. They would go to Eldora and win. Mike Wallace won 13 races in a row at Granite City, Illinois, and then he came down to I-44 and won a bunch. You know, they won at Daytona in the Truck Series. They won at Granite City, Illinois in a dirt race, Busch All-Star Tour, Touring Series races, USAC races. They did it all. I think Rusty Wallace may have won some dirt races. You know, that it's Kenny Wallace. Look what Kenny Wallace did. He said, hey, I've never got to race dirt, and I want to go back and I want to race dirt, and challenged himself. Kenny Wallace is actually like a great race car driver that doesn't give himself enough credit. He really is.
Do you know what he's doing this Friday? He's going to Plymouth, Indiana to run the super late models on asphalt.
I want to run. Have you seen those cars? They look like a wedge body. They look like dirt late model on pavement. We had a couple of sport. Remember Robert Reeves, the sportsman he had back in just like that. I want to race one of those cars. They raced them in Owasso last weekend. Man, those things are bad fast, like stupid amount of power. They weigh nothing and a lot of left side weight. So cool that he's going to do that. And I want to drive one of those cars once. It looks like so much fun.
Lucas Oil Late Model Series, Eagle, Nebraska. I map quested to that. It's 365 miles one way from Lebanon, but on 29, I guess, right south of Omaha.
Ricky Thornton was at Wheatland last night testing on his way up. Eagle is, if you want to watch a great race this weekend, watch that racetrack. I think they start Thursday night. If you had World of Outlaw sprint cars or dirt, I can't remember the Saturday Night Speedway on your PlayStation, Eagle was on that, and it was one of the best tracks on that game, but puts on incredible racing, and it'll be a good race all weekend long up there. And then they go from there to Wheatland, and a lot of haulers will be in town Monday night.
Where are you going this weekend?
West Plains Friday. We've not raced a dirt race in a hot minute, and I need to get one in and want to try to support. Really, I like that we have local series to run now, and I want to support everybody that I can on that. And then we would stay down there under normal circumstances, but we're going to come home to Lebanon. So come home, switch cars, and I don't know. We talked about just going straight to the pits, but I got to drive by my house to go home. So we'll go home and sleep and switch cars out and head to I-44 on Saturday.
Very good. Good luck.
Thank you. We'll need it.
That'll do it for the BW3 podcast, brought to you by Schaefer's Oil and by Algar Performance. And we always remain 23 strong here at the BW3 podcast in memory of Nick Bradshaw. Thanks for joining us. And it is brought to you by Swino Visuals.